One is your fellow Texan, Sheila Jackson Lee, has proposed a commission to study reparations. If that passes and you are President of the United States, would you sign that bill?
Yes.
Trayvon Martin. Botham John. Michael Brown. Stephen Clark. Stephon Clark. And just this past weekend, we lost a hero to our community that so many people may not understand the connection between this young man who grew up just like so many of our brothers and our cousins and our friends and our fathers, and has been an epic contributor to the Los Angeles community, leaving a legacy for us to all fulfill in our own communities, and that name is Nipsey Hussle. So I wanted to start by grounding this conversation because given all that we've experienced collectively as a community, it is so easy for our hearts to become hardened, to just look at these situations and say it's a shame, and then go on about our days. But these women, these leaders, these powerful human beings on this stage didn't do that. They took, as Ben said, that pain and turned it into power. And if we don't leave with anything else today, I dare us to leave with that call to action to turn our pain into magnificent, connected, unified power to make a difference in this country. And so I want to start with just this question to just frame for you all, to tell us something about your loved one, your brother Tiffany, your brother Alicia, your sons, Sabrina, Leslie, and others. Tell us something about them that we don't know. And I just want that as a human connection point so that when we carry these stories with us of grief and frustration and anger, we remember their humanity first. So if you all, it doesn't matter who starts, but if you all can just give us something about who they were as a person and why it's so important for us to be connected to them.
I guess I'll start. How y'all doing? Trayvon was a mama's boy. I say all the time that Trayvon was an average teenager. He liked everything that the teenagers like. He liked those expensive shoes. I'm not going to say the name of them. I'm not going to endorse them because they're not paying me. He liked those expensive shoes. He would be on the telephone all the time talking to some young lady. He would, he was just an average kid, and when this first happened to my son, and the media told me that it was about the hoodie that he was wearing, that was a lie. All the kids wear hoodies. The young ladies, the guys, babies, everybody wear the hoodies. And now that I'm traveling and I'm speaking at different colleges and university, I noticed that all of the kids wear it. All of the kids, not just African American kids, but Hispanic kids, Asian kids. Everybody wears those hoodies. And so, I'm just telling you, don't believe everything you hear. You gotta kind of, use your own common sense on things. But Trayvon was very affectionate. He thought he was handsome for some reason. I think one young lady told him that he was, and that was it. He used to wear long pants all the time. Somebody told him he had cute legs, so he started wearing shorts. So I'm just trying to tell you how average he was, how normal he was, how affectionate he was. Trayvon, like I said, could have been anybody's son, but he happened to be my son. Amen. My son who I would not have sacrificed. My son who is also your son. You might not have lost a Trayvon Martin, but you might have a Trayvon Martin in your home. But just continue to love him. Just continue to hold him. If they want to hug and kiss and be affectionate, let them. I wish mine was here so I could.
Hello. I'm Elisa, I'm Botham's sister. He called me Big Sis. Anytime he texted, he would start with yo. That was his favorite word. He actually, something about him is he thought he was a chef. I have so many pictures of his food. Anytime he cooked, he would take a pic and send it to me. One time he made a lasagna with pepperoni on top. He always had some creation. He was the most lovable person. He loved humor. He could diffuse any situation with humor. He was a giver. He loved his seniors. He looked at everyone like his grandma, grandpa. He was the best. We miss him. It's still raw for us, but he was my brother.
I'm a little hoarse, so excuse me, but Terrence Crutcher was my twin brother. We were 3 minutes apart. We had just celebrated our 40th birthday a month before he was shot. We were planning my parents' 50th wedding anniversary.
So sad.
He loved gospel music. He loved to sing. 15 minutes after he left class at Tulsa Community College, he was shot dead in the middle of the street. He had 4 children that loved him, 3 girls and a boy. His little boy, Terrence Jr., I mean, the spitting image. Every time I look at Terrence Jr., I see Terrence, my twin, and I just want to love on him and protect him. And, you know, I'm afraid when he goes out. I'm afraid for the children in our community. But Terrence was a man of God. He, just a few days ago, the Tulsa World, someone wrote an editorial from Tulsa Public Schools to humanize Terrence and talk about the service that he provided to the local schools as a test proctor. He was a volunteer. My mom called Terrence her compassionate son because he would give you the shirt off his back. We would wake up and there would be someone on the couch, someone who didn't have a place to stay. And Terrence thinks he can cook too. He did, and he thought he was the rib king, and one of his specialty dishes was chicken spaghetti. And you know, I'm just gonna miss him. You know, we celebrated our second birthday, you know, with him being in heaven, but we still get that cake every year that says, "Happy birthday, Terrence and Tiffany," and it's just painful knowing that he's not here.
Good afternoon, everyone. And I just want to say to all of you, thank you all for all your support, you know, through this terrible tragedy of us all. Really. But I would like to say about my son, he was so close to me, even though he was a grown man, he would always check in with me. And even if I fussed with him about something he did, he never talked back or tried to, like, you know how some kids do, they want to rise up, oh, I know what I'm doing. Even if he thought it, he would not say it. You know? So that I just loved about him. And sometimes I used to calm myself down because I said, this is a grown man you're talking to. And you're still talking to him like he's your baby, which he was my baby, you know. I mean, my oldest son, but you know, your children is still your baby. And he loved family functions. Anytime we went to family functions, everyone would ask, well, when is Eric getting here? And when is he getting here? I said, well, he said he'll be here soon, but you know, Eric is on Eric's time. You know, he get here when he get here. And he loved Christmas, and I guess that was my passion when my children was young. I used to go all out for Christmas for them. And then when he grew up, that was instilled in him, and he used to like to play Santa Claus for his children and then his grandchildren. And it was just like such a great thing when he was alive that the family could get together. Eric, he loved sports. He loved basketball. And when he was younger, he had asthma, and they thought that he was never going to be able to play sports. They thought he would never be able to, you know, run and jump, or had to be homeschooled. But that's when he was like only like a year old. They was telling me that his asthma was bad. But he defied all odds. He did everything that they said that he wasn't going to be able to do. And he was like the fastest runner on the team. And I used to look at him in amaze. The doctor told me that you would probably be like an invalid. I might have to like walk you know, slowly. And you're the fastest runner on the team. And I was so, you know, and I blessed God for that. And like, he was no cook, but he was an eater. But as you see, when he was murdered, you know how large he was. He wasn't that large when he was coming up. He always ate the way he ate. But he never gained. If you see his younger pictures, if you look at his graduation pictures, if you look at pictures when he was like in his 20s and his 30s, he was a slim guy, slim. It's, you know, I guess the medication, you know how when they put these steroids in this new medication that they give you, and that's when he started to gain weight. But you know, I'm going to miss him. That day that they told me that, you know, that he was no longer with me, was almost the saddest day of my life. But the saddest day of my life was when I went to the cemetery and he wasn't coming back with me. That was the saddest day of my life for losing my son. And I'm gonna always miss him. And you know, my story don't start with Eric. If you'll read my book, you'll see that I have had a lot of tragedies in my life. But you know, with the grace of God, I'm still standing and I can still.
And right after our forum today, Ms. Carr will be selling her books and signing her books out in the back. And I would now want to switch over here to Leslie to talk to us a little bit about what we don't know about Mike Brown.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Well, I'm going to share a funny story about Mike. I don't want to get too emotional. But, of course, everyone knows that's what we called him, Mike. And he loved dogs. He's always had a dog. He had a dog when he was 1 year old. He had a dog when he was 18 years old. And when my son passed away a week later, his dog did as well. He missed him that much. But I'm going to take you back to when he was 1 year old with a dog. And I thought he was outside in the backyard with my mom while she was hanging clothes, and she happened to come in and she said, "Neighbor, where is Mike?" I said, "Well, he was with you." She said, "No, he ain't. He was with you." And I said, "Well, I know who he with. He with you and me. He with the dog." So I ran outside and I asked everybody, "You seen Mike Graves?" And everybody's like, "No, we ain't seen him." Well, his other grandmother stayed a block away. Miss Brown stayed just a block away from my mom. This is how close we all were. And something told me to go to that corner. And when I went to that corner and I looked to the right, I saw a pamper and a tail. And that was Mike trying to go to his other grandmother's house. But thank God no cars were coming and anything like that. It was just for a split second, y'all. And he ran out with this dog. His dog name was Spike. He couldn't pronounce it. He called him Pike, my plushie. And he just always had this thing for animals. He loved any kind of animal, but a dog was his favorite. But I knew that my son was a loving, caring being, and I will forever miss him. You know, he didn't have a chance to get a job, learn how to drive. He didn't have any children, but my son recorded so much music. I'm going to share one other thing, because my son was a part of special school district because he had a hearing problem. And at 1 year old, also, he had tubes placed in his ears. So after the surgery, he could hear much clearer. And he started to make all this music and record all these beats, and so everybody wanted to be around him. He was like this producer without any skill. He taught himself. So I have loads and loads of iCloud music that my son made, but I'm preparing my heart to listen to his voice again. But those are some of the things about Mike Mike.
Oh, sure.
Hello. I'm Sequette. I'm Stephon Clark Small. So something about him that you guys didn't know. He when he came up, he was short, he was dark, he was fat. And his siblings all teased him in the house every day. Every day he would cry because his siblings teased him. And I would whisper in his ear like, Papa, don't cry, you know, you're gonna be the finest one I got. You're gonna grow up, you're gonna be fine. Watch me. Believe mommy ain't gonna lie to you. One day he came home from school, he was going high in Sacramento. He was 16 years old. He broke running in the house. I was like, what's wrong? You know, what's wrong? He said, Mama, I'm fine, Mama. I said, Mama, I'm fine. He was like, look, I have a 6-pack, I got an 8-pack, Mama, they love me. I said, I told you, baby. I said, I told you. He was gonna be funny. So that's the part that people didn't know. Another thing that people didn't know about Stephon is that he was pursued academically for a full ride to St. John's University. That was like 4 years. That they went from the printed copies to the embossed handwritten signatures, where they really wanted to give him a full academic ride. Unfortunately, Stephon liked to play a lot of pranks, and in his senior year, he put what is that? The oral gel stuff for your tooth around his teacher's water bottle. It's that he ended up graduating from the Board of Education instead of the school. So he didn't end up at St. John's. He did go to college, but not there. But he was extremely intelligent, extremely athletic. He was a guy's guy. If there was any sport, he was gonna top it and beat it. His older brother, Stevante, was rapping at the time, so Stephon got on a couple of songs with Stevante, and they didn't make it to the album. I think Stevante got, because Stephon would come off of the head like really, really fast and quick, and Fred was like, nah, we're gonna cut that out, we're not gonna let the world hear you. So anything he did, he always tried to be the best at it, he always exceeded. He was very intelligent, he's very handsome, his life of the party, everybody loved him, and it is extremely hard every day without him.
Thank you. This panel is mothers of the movement, but what has mobilized them into movement is their motherhood first, right? The siblings even. I wanted us to make sure that we're grounded in the truth about who these folks are, because we never hear those stories in the media. And those are the kinds of things that we can use to fuel our work. Pauline, you are doing some of that work on the ground. And so if for a moment you can just talk to us about the importance of human stories, human connection, to make sure that we are moving the community forward collectively.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Embodied in the work of the National Action Network is to pick up the bloodstained banner when we feel the pain of all the mothers that are here, the pain of mothers on the local level. That's what ignite the work that we do. One of the largest justice rallies that we had in Philadelphia was for Trayvon Martin. When my grandson was a sophomore at Morehouse, he sent me a picture, and I knew he had matured. Morehouse was doing their job because he had on a hoodie for Mike Brown. So the pain that we hear from the mothers today, that we experience on a local level, is embodied in everything that we do. It propels the work that we do on a daily basis. It's not enough that we may not personally know Sabrina or Leslie or Miss Gwen. We know them. We can identify with them because we feel their pain. We feel their loss. Most of us don't want to experience the loss of a child. And so when we hear about an injustice, we stand up. NAN ignites, we mobilize, we organize, we put boots on the ground throughout this country. That's our job. That's what we do on behalf of the mothers. We bring them to our locale. We brought many of these mothers here to Pennsylvania because the people on the local level, the foot soldiers, wanted to hug Sabrina. They wanted Sabrina to know that we feel her pain, that we too lost Trayvon. We too are Mike Brown. You heard our chants throughout this country. And so on a daily basis, we carry forth in a resounding way the call for justice. In Philadelphia, we're still fighting stop and frisk, which leads to the murder of young sons, young brothers. We're still fighting that, and it's unbelievable. In this day and time, almost 2020, we still have to fight to stop the police from killing our loved ones. Thank you.
Let's acknowledge Jean Théo's mother, who's in the audience.
And I know you mentioned it already, but I do want to make sure we acknowledge and all see Sequita Thompson Clark, who is Stefan's grandmother as well. Thank you so much for doing it. So I want to switch gears a little bit to talk about what our call to action is. We can't be at a National Action Network conference and not talk about what the roles are of everyone in this room and understanding that we all have a role to play.